Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita session. The topic for today is cosmic cooperation in universe. Slightly changed than what I circulated last night, last evening, but it implies the same thing. So, so let's take a look at what we have for today for discussion. Very interesting concept and a lot to discuss, a lot to contemplate, a lot to talk about. As we go, let's take a look back where we are in the systematic study of Bhagavad Gita, and we are in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we completed chapter one, okay, chapter two during a lot of sessions. This is 24th session in the series. I rename files by the session numbers, so I know for sure that this is 24th session of that we are having. And over these sessions, we have discussed chapter one, introduction, chapter one, chapter two, and some of the verses from chapter three. And last session, we went in a little bit detail about the internal consciousness and external dress, and what is the correlationship between the two. Why Krishna is asking us not to live our prescribed duties in an abrupt manner. Why what's his instruction? His instruction is to act and perform your prescribed duties. At the same time, purify your consciousness. So that part we will cover today. So beginning of chapter 3, Arjuna is asking question to Keshava. Why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare? Ghora Karmani, Ghore Mam, Niyajayasi Keshava. This ghastly warfare, why you are engaging me if you think intelligence is better than furtive war? And then Vyamishraneva Vakyana Buddhim Mohaya Sivame Tad Ekam Vada Nishchitya Yena Shreyo Hamapnuyam. That my intelligence is bewildered. Mohaya Sivame. So my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. What's happening? Arjuna is thinking the last time Krishna spoke about war was in 2.38, where Krishna says, Sukhe dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jaya tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam vapasi. So if you fight war in the mood, in this particular mood, remaining by treating sukha dukkha same krutva equally, sukha and dukkha, when you treat it equally, and in that kind of a mood, equilibrium, mental equilibrium, when you fight, you will not incur papa. There will be no papa, even if there will be killing is involved, but there is no papa involved. So Arjuna is thinking, and after that, many verses Krishna spoke, where he highlighted the importance of Nishkam Karma Yoga, then spoke about how a Sthita Prajna act with full control of his mind, giving away the desires, completely control over the mind, the desires, the senses, and he's functioning in this way. And then Arjuna asked a question that tell me more about this person. And Krishna speak elaborately from 54th till 72nd verse that if that person can maintain this equilibrium, this kind of a consciousness at the end of his life, he becomes eligible to enter the kingdom of God. Now Arjuna is thinking that if I become attached to the sense enjoyment, I become attached to the senses and the sense enjoyment, then I will fight war, because war Tova prapsasi swargam. Even if I lose, I will attain swarga. If I win, I will rule the kingdom. And Krishna's message is clearly to tell me not to enjoy, not to indulge into the sense gratification. So the path of sense gratification is clearly Krishna is warning. Don't follow that. So he's oversimplifying the situation and saying, I will not fight, I will rather renounce. Krishna wants to complicate the situations because that is how the discussion can go deeper. And as we see, if Arjuna is attached, Arjuna is thinking in a very simple term. If I am attached, I will act. If I am not attached, I will not act. Krishna says that's not completely true. You can act. Of course, a lot of people will act when they are attached to something. When they want something, they will want to work for it, and so they will be attached to the action. By out of attachment, they will act to get what they want. But he says there are some people in the society who are externally may try to renounce, but internally may cultivate desires. And those people are most dangerous. Krishna referred to them as Vimudhatma and Mithyachari. Vimudhatma are foolish souls and Mithyachari are pretenders. So, so there are majority of the people who are acting in the world, they are simple people. They are honest people. They know that they have desires. They have desires for sense enjoyment, and at the same time they want to do duty. So hence they are acting. But there are some who are pretending that they are advanced in the on the spiritual consciousness, and but in the secretly in the mind they are cultivating desires for sense gratification. And Krishna warned Arjuna not to become like them. So he says, without sufficient purification of heart, purification of your mind, purification of your desires, purification of your senses, prematurely you should not renounce. Nobody should renounce. So what is he saying? That remain detached from sense enjoyment. And how that happens, we'll see that when you get attached to Krishna, normally, naturally, you get detached from sense enjoyment. And in that mood, sometimes you might act, sometimes you might renounce. However, you are not concerned with any one of those. So this is a broader framework that Krishna will provide, and then we will discuss some of the verses on these lines. Krishna is saying, not by merely abstaining work uh, can one achieve freedom from the action, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So this is where, on the other hand, a sincere person who tries to control your active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness is far superior. What Krishna is saying is, one who basically one who is honest, one who is sincere, and one understand his limitation. One is not pretending to be advanced when he is not, and in out of humility, out of simplicity, out of honesty, he's having become aware of his position. He's trying to work in Krishna consciousness. He's trying to control his active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga, start karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment. Now he's far superior in compared to the one that Krishna highlights in the 3.6th verse as a pretender. So become instead of becoming pretender, you be honest to your own self. And if you have desires, try to satisfy them, at least in the Krishna conscious way. And thereby you will purify yourself. You will also not no need to for you to act like a pretender. So that's the 3.7 verse that Krishna confirms. We saw this table last session: external dress and internal consciousness. The best case scenario is first, number one, there's a change of external dress and there's a change in internal consciousness as well. Number two is better. It's not best, but at least better than 3 and 4 definitely. There's a change of external dress. One is trying to sincerely change the internal consciousness as well. So one doesn't stop by changing the dress. One is putting in effort to change internal consciousness as well. Now this is a work in progress. This is not perfection, but this is much better than the below two. The below two, who are they? The change the external dress. They pose themselves as a spiritualist, as spiritual leaders. However, they are not even sincerely trying to change their internal consciousness. There's no process that they are following to purify themselves. They may declare that I am God, or I'm godly, or I'm the spiritual leader, and and they will get a lot of followers. However, there is no sincere sadhana that they may perform, and so this is very bad. And worst is number four. There's a change of external dress, and there is a continuation of old sinful ways of behavior in the disguise of external dress. So you use external to satisfy your innermost desires for sense gratification. We have desires for sense gratification. That is the reason why we all came to the material world. So there is no secret. It's no secret that why we are in the material world. It's no secret why a criminal find himself in jail. If you are in jail, you should know that you have done some crime. So there's no secret about it. There's no question about it. So one don't have to pretend that that unnecessarily that they don't have material desires, and that is the reason why the varnashram system is created by Krishna, wherein we will get opportunity to satisfy our desire, but at the same time we will get opportunity to purify our consciousness also. And eventually we can develop detachment. We can get detached from those sensual desires and rise above them, and then cultivate desires to love and serve Krishna. And that is how we can purify ourselves. We can go back to Krishna. The couple of other verses which we didn't spoke about in our previous session is one is 3.5 and then 3.8. These are again similar sounding verses, wherein Krishna says, you're saying you will renounce the work, you will not do the work, and because you are worried about getting reactions, because every action that we perform is like a seed that we are sowing, and which will bear a fruit, and there will be karma and there will be karma phala. So every karma will lead to karma phala. Therefore, Arjuna is trying to find easy way out. कि okay ठीक है फिर मैं कर्म ही नहीं करूंगा. I will not act only. And so there is no question of karma phala. So this way I will be able to protect myself. I will not get bound. Now, bondage is something nobody likes. Our body is a bondage for the soul. Soul is bound, is locked up into this body, and soul wants to become free, but that's not possible. As long as this body exists, the soul is bound to function inside the body only. So, so that's how. So that's the position. So what? So what Krishna is saying is, um, that's true that if you act, there will be a reaction. Every karma will lead to karma phala. Uh, However, Krishna is saying, Krishna will give solution to this in the ninth verse, but at the moment, Krishna is saying, Nahi kaschita kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krut karyate yha avashah karma sarve prakriti jair gune. That nahi kaschita kshanamapi, not even for a moment, everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Nahi kaschita kshanamapi, that for a kshan also, you will not do anything. Even if you're all sitting inside your homes, and practically you may say that I'm doing nothing. All 101 of you may claim that you're not doing anything. However, you're still you're still doing something. You're still listening. Now, listening is also an action. You're still seeing. You're looking at the mobile screen or the computer screen. The seeing is also an action. You probably would have had some breakfast. and currently your body is digesting that breakfast. Now, this is involuntary action, but nevertheless, it is an action. You are breathing, your lungs are functioning, your lungs are absorbing oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. So there are voluntary actions that you are doing and involuntary actions that you are doing, and you are always doing something or the other. There is never a moment when you are not doing anything. We'll see later in the course of this discussion today that how soul is always active, and even in sleep soul act. Soul is awake and available to, and because the physical eyes are closed, the soul can watch dreams. Soul can see the dreams, and he can replay and remain busy in watching some videos from your memory, or or can create his videos of his own choice, picking up different thoughts and randomly, and then and create a video on dreams. And he can keep watching that video whole night while you are sleeping. Your body is recovering from the from the grind that you have put in during the day, but the soul is not tired, soul is fresh, soul is not resting, so soul is busy watching dreams. So, and why we know, because a lot of us can easily remember all the dreams that you saw previous night, and some of those can be very vivid dreams, very clear dreams, where uh, and some of the dreams you can actually experience the you can get a physical experience also, even in air conditioned bedroom also. You can find yourself sweating because in dreams you were chased by a tiger. And so what happens in the dream, which is subconscious by mind, at the level of mind, is affecting you externally. When there is nothing, there's no tiger in the bedroom, but still you get sweating, you start sweating. So the soul is always active. So there's not a moment, not even for a moment, where you can refrain yourself from doing something or the other, not even for a moment. Prabhupada writes in the purport that there's no question. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. What we see is as long as the driver is present inside the car has potential to move. But the moment driver steps out of the car cannot move. And similarly, when the body, as long as the body possesses soul, the body is active, body can move, and body is forced to perform actions. But the moment the soul leaves the body, it's no more functional. It's called dead vehicle. The body is only a dead vehicle. Body is always a dead vehicle. It's only by the presence of the soul a body appears to be functional. A body appears to be moving. Body appears to be alive. But body on its own is always dead as your chair, as dead as your sofa, as dead as a television set in your home. There's no other quality in the body that is different. It's only a separate, different chemical combination that we see. But apart from that, it's as dead as this table and this laptop and this mobile. So our body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy. So I've heard a story of a ghost who is available, and he said, I'm your servant." Initially, the person feels very nice. Oh, I have a servant now, and then he used to ask ghost to do whatever he wanted to do, and then and the ghost used to do everything very quickly. And this man, and he immediately used to come back. He used to finish the work, immediately come back. "Sir, what can I do more for you?" This man used to give some new work. He used to finish very quickly, again come back. "Sir, what can I do for you?" And this man got tired. What else I will tell him? How to keep this idiot engaged? So then he gave him an instruction. "Okay, there is a pole. Outside my home, there is on the road, there is a pole. So I will give you a nice task. You climb up and climb down, climb up and climb down, and keep doing this until I come and tell you a new instruction. And that is how he kept that ghost busy. Our mind is like that ghost. Mind always wants something. The soul uh, cannot just cannot just sit idle, and soul through the through the energy of mind, using the energy of mind, soul will keep asking for activity. Soul will always want to be engaged in in doing something or the other. And if we don't engage them in doing right things, by default they will go and do wrong things. It's just like our children. If we don't tell them right message, they will get wrong message either sooner or later, and that's just about to happen. So it's a conscious effort that we must do in order to engage soul and mind in the right activities. Prabhupada write further that the contact with material energy, in contact with the material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastra. The modes of material nature is a subject, and subject by itself. In Bhagavad Gita, in simple words, there are three modes: Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. And in Bhagavad Gita, there are more than 100 verses are dedicated to describe our actions and our activities in these three modes of material nature. What happens when we are in one of the three modes of material nature? This is not absolute. There will always be mishra. We'll have sattva mix with rajogun, sattva mixed with tamogun. Sattva mixed with tamogun example can be you're chanting in the morning. That's a very that's transcendental, but assume that to be sattvic activity, waking up in the morning and offering prayers, and you sleep while chanting. Now, sleep is tamoguni work, but so it's a mixture of what this activity becomes in the mix of sattva gun and tamogun. Similarly, there could be sattva and rajogun mishra activities. So we don't operate in one guna absolutely. We will always have shades, and there is a predominance of one of the guna. The gunas, they fight with each other for dominance. Can you believe that's happening inside all our mind? And we will have dedicated sessions to discuss those gunas and activities by those gunas. So suffice it to say that the soul has acquired. Soul comes in spiritual acquires material modes. From where they come? They come from our actions, they come from our environment, and they come from our desires. The soul has desires, and when he expresses those desires, the mind and intelligence help soul attain those desires. Now, those desires can be good, bad, and ugly desires, and because we have free will, using our free will or misusing our free will, whatever as the case might be, a soul may express a desire, and mind and intelligence will act to help the soul fulfill those desires. And through this, there are certain way of certain path gets uh, designed. There is a in the villages, or those who have gone to the mountains, they see there are no roads, but there are pathways, and we call it paivat. Paivat means by repeatedly going from that route, walking from that route, especially not going, walking from that route, a route get formed, a route gets created. Otherwise, there's no route, there's no road. Nobody has chopped out this road, but people have walking that road repeatedly, and that is how this road It appears to be a road, it appears to be a pathway, it appears to be a lane. And in trekking, especially in mountains, you see those paulwata in Marathi we call it, but paivat, paulvat. But by repeatedly using that route, a way, a small lane gets created, a way gets created, road gets created. So similarly, the modes are like that. By repeatedly taking that action, some modes are formed. And so, for example, if you are fond of Goa and you have repeatedly searched Goa on your Google, and tomorrow you want to search about God, but the moment you type GO in Google, Google will complete it for Goa because you have repeatedly in the history search for Goa. गोवा में ये कहाँ है, गोवा में वो कहाँ है, गोवा में खाने का कहाँ, पीने का कहाँ, रहने का कहाँ, बोट कहाँ मिलता है, एक्टिविटी क्या कर सकते हैं, and so on and so forth. You have done multiple searches on Goa. Now Google think that the moment you say anything, type anything as starting with G and O, you are searching for another thing in Goa. So Google will auto-complete that word to be GOA instead of, but what you will have to do, you will have to go and delete that A and replace it with God, because now you today you want to search on God. Now Google doesn't know, but you know, and thereby there is a extraneous effort for you to change your mode. Modes are formed because you have all because of your indulgences, but it's not mandatory, it's not, it's not static. They can be changed, they can be changed, just like you can change GOA to God if you want to search on God. So Google will complete it, but you don't have to force it. But Google can force you to go in that direction only. Google can allow you to change also. And then you can change, and then you will get information on God. Similarly, modes are there. They will push us in certain directions, but they can't force us to walk those directions. We can change our course as we go along. So we will do a lot of discussions on the modes of material nature as we progress in the discussion of Bhagavad Gita. Another point to make uh, is that this is one of the reasons why Bhagavad Gita is the advanced scripture, the most advanced scripture that is available in the world. Better than Quran, far better than Quran and Bible, which are other prominent scriptures. A lot of this advanced information is available in Bhagavad Gita, which is missing everywhere. The mind is science barely recognizes mind and psychology as a stream of study. They call it half science. It is there, it is not there. And so it's not very prominently recognized in the scientific circles. So, but so this information is missing either in material world or in the other scriptures. But Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen, repeatedly give a very detailed, elaborate information about mind and its functioning. Modes are predominantly they act through the mind. And while studying verse 3.27, we will again take a look at these modes of material nature in a little bit more detail. So, as we let's progress, let's proceed further. That but if the soul is engaged in the natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. So Prabhupada says that soul will by default want to do something. If you'll not allow him to do good things, it will pick up bad things. So and all of that will be dictated by the modes in which the soul is, which soul has acquired. Can this be changed? Yes. If you engage that same, engage yourself consciously into the Krishna consciousness activities, eventually those pushes, internal pushes, that's the mode, they will also change and the soul will also get purified. Ultimate aim for all action, ultimate aim for all our action is to become Krishna conscious. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8. Na utpadayate. Na utpadan. Utpadan is production. if all the occupational activities that you are doing, if they are not able to produce uh, the love for the attraction for the message of Godhead, after Krishna Katha Ruchi, Krishna Nama Ruchi, or Krishna Ruchi. Ruchi is a taste, develop taste for Krishna, develop taste to hear his message, develop taste to sing his name, develop taste to hear his Katha. If all our activities, the sum and substance of all our activities does not result in increasing our attraction for Krishna, then it is Shrama Evahi Kevalam. It is useless labor. Useless labor. Prabhupada, the translation, this is of this verse, Prabhupada used another beautiful word. It's called provoke. Provoke is generally used in a negative connotation. But Prabhupada used that word here in a positive connotation, saying that if they don't provoke attraction for Krishna, then they are useless labor. Now, provocation is used in a way that we can understand. It's to provoke the attraction for Krishna, which means it's naturally not there, or even if it is there, it's in a very very small quantity. But by provocation, it's like giving air to the fire. And the small spark, you give air, it can become bigger. So provocation is like giving air to the fire and helping that fire to become bigger and bigger. So that is what should happen. And all our activities, the end result should be this, that it should help us attract our attraction for Krishna, increase our attraction for Krishna. Krishna gives a similar message that Sharira Yatra Chatena Prasiddhyeta Akarmanaha, which means the perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Prabhupada writes in the purport that after all, one has to maintain one's body, and so whether by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously without purification of materialistic propensities. Anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of impure propensity of lording it over the material nature, or in other words, for sense gratification. Krishna will say in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that Ichha Dvesha Samuthena Dvandva Mohena Bharata. How it all started. If we were all part and parcel of Krishna, not that perpetually we were in the material world, that we were not here. However, because we develop ichha is desire, and a dvesha is hatred towards Krishna, hatred towards Krishna's supremacy, hatred towards his position. And if we develop these qualities, then we no longer remain eligible to live in the spiritual world, which means we will be pushed to come to the material world. And if we are here, this is what will happen. We will perform activities for the satisfaction of our senses. Purusha prakrutistohi bhumte prakriti jaguram karana sat asat yoni janmasu. This is what will happen once we come here. We develop desires and we develop hatred towards Krishna, and by the moment that happens, we are pushed into the material world. The material world is there, available, created. Why it is created? When Krishna has no desire for any living entity to go there and suffer, then why Krishna created material world at all? Just like any kingdom, we will create a jail. Now, king doesn't want people to commit crime and go to jail. However, the jails will be there. Kings will be happy if the jails are empty, but jail will still be there. The moment a kingdom is built, he will build gardens, he will build stadiums for sporting activity, and he will build fountains for recreation, and he will also build jails for those don't want to follow the rules of the state. So for them, the jails will also be there. The king will be happy if the jails are empty, but we know by default that jails never become empty. people get such propensities to break law. So similarly, ichha dvesha samuthena, because of these desires, because of these impurities, when they come to our mind, we will find ourselves in the material world. And what we will do, we will Purushaha prakriti stohi bhumte prakriti jagunan. We are trying to enjoy various in various ways the prakriti jan gunan. We are trying to enjoy the prakriti. This comes in the 22nd verse in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And karana guna sangasya, and because we act for the sense enjoyment, self enjoyment, uh, each of our actions for self enjoyment results into karma phala. And when that happens, so we will get karma phala. And to enjoy or suffer for that karma phala, we are forced to take accept another body, accept another body. And what, so as a result, sata asata yoni janmasu, sata asata, higher and lower species of life, we will wander. We will wander through the different species of life because of our desire for sense gratification, because of our hatred for Krishna. And Krishna will, the opposite is the solution that Krishna will provide in the 9th verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is Yajnartharth karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tad artham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So if you do duty for the self, if you work for your own self, your the satisfaction of your own self, even if you act legally, even if you act morally, ethically, within the boundaries of dharma, but your goal is to satisfy your own self, then that action is called, that action is binding. Any such action done for the satisfaction of the self is binding. Just like when you go to a mall, whatever you buy for your own self, you have to pay for it. You go to any mall, and if you say, I have to buy this from for myself, the moment you pick up anything, you become you become liable to pay to the mall. You can't walk out without paying. So this payment is basically our reduction in karmic currency. So so for now you may pay out of your legally earned salary, or you may pay out of the money that you have got by picking up wallets from people while traveling in train, or you may pay by doing a robbery on somebody's home. You will have to pay. You are forced to pay. And each of these actions can have consequences. If you're paying out of your own pocket, or from the salary, hard-earned salary or hard-earned money from the legal sources, whatever you have on, and if you're paying bill using that money is getting exhausted, and you need to next day go back to work to restore that money, because you're spending the currency, you're spending the money. If you are buying using money from pickpocketing or robbery that you did on the previous night, uh, there is a reduction in money. That's one. On top of it, there is a scare. There is a threat that you will get caught and will get punished. So a sattvic person, even if he is not worried about, there is no threat, immediate threat to him of getting punished, but he's forced to keep working again and again, because his currency balance reduces as he spend in the mall. Um, uh, how and that is for the sattvic person. Even if you act in perfect sattva guna, you are still forced to work next day because your balance reduces. What to speak of those who are in rajoguna and tamoguna, who have who are who are criminals, who have criminal mentalities, and at times, there will be severe punishments that may come their way. Suppose if you've robbed somebody, but what if you have murdered someone and looted their wealth, and using that money you have come to the same mall for shopping. So there could be very severe punishments that can await for a tamoguni person. A less severe punishments can be there for a rajoguni person, and there may not be punishment, but there will be bondage to work for a sattva person. What is the way out? Way out is given in this verse by Krishna, that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So imagine this person says that I want to go and offer this, whatever I have picked up in my cart, I have to go and offer it to the owner of the store. In that case, he may escape, he may step out of that store without paying anything. All he's doing is he's saying, I will offer it to the owner. Owner, if he returns those things back to him, then he will use it for himself. Now he is a devotee. He is more intelligent, most intelligent person in the group. The three people that we spoke about in the mall are all paying. Now this person is going without paying anything, and at the same time, owner he knows that owner out of his mercy will allow him some of this stuff to be utilized for his own maintenance. And owner indeed allow him to use. Owner accepts it and give it back to him, saying that you use it for your own maintenance. And that way, this person gets what he wants. At the same time, he has not paid anything. And in this is a way, this is Prabhupada will call it a great art of doing work. Let's understand what sacrifice means. Sacrifice, that a general understanding, is Havan. There's a fire, there's a Havan Kunda, and then there's a Ahuti that is performed, ghee, and Kushagras is there, this, that, and a lot of mantras are chanted while performing the Ahuti. So that is one understanding of what Yajna is. However, the principle behind performance of Yajna is that of a sacrifice. What do you mean by sacrifice? Sacrifice is giving up something which one can lawfully enjoy. One can enjoy. One may have a desire to enjoy also, and one may want to enjoy also. But for some higher reason, for some higher purpose, one is giving up that enjoyment. That difference. Keep yourself on mute. Hopefully, co-hosts are taking care, but please don't unmute. So this is sacrifice, and Krishna is advising Arjuna to perform a sacrifice. Now, yajnarthat karmano anyatra. Yajna, Prabhupada explains in the purport, means Lord Vishnu. Yajna means Lord Vishnu. Uh, uh, Yajna also means sacrificial performances. Now, all sacrificial performances are also meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it is prescribed in this verse. The Varnashram Institute also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. So, aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha. In the 9th chapter, Krishna will speak this verse. Bhoktaram yajna tapasa sarva loka maheshwara. In the previous session, we discussed this verse, and Prabhupada elaborately explains that Krishna is the so any sacrifice, and we understood that yajna, the principle behind yajna is sacrifice, and any sacrifice that we give for anything, for the satisfaction of any devata, for the satisfaction of any human being, Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer of all the sacrifices. We do indirectly, we may do directly. So it is best to do it directly. And knowing this, it is best to directly worship Krishna and offer all our actions to him. And that is that is what will be recommended in this verse. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in this material world will be a cause of bondage. For both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reaction binds the performer. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. And while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. So we discuss this with example of four people shopping in a mall. One person paying out of his own salary, one person out of some small robbery or some small pickpocketing, and the third person by murdering somebody. And using this money, they are all shopping. And so the first person, there is no immediate threat to him. However, there is a potential he has to go back to work because there is a depletion, a reduction in the money that he had earned. So, and as the money goes down, money becomes zero. He will, the supplies will be stopped. The mall will, though he mall will recognize him to be a good customer, mall will not give him his whatever he want free of cost. So that is binding, that is forcing this person to go back to work. He cannot say I will not work, because the moment he says that, the supply stops, and that is dangerous. So the sattva guni person is forced to act, even though even though without break. And a rajoguni and tamoguni person are, they always carry a threat of getting punished by the Lord, by the fruits of, by the karma phala. So some suffering is just awaiting a rajasic and a tamasic person to be delivered to them anytime. And so this is the state of these three people. And the fourth person we spoke about is the one who is walking away without paying anything, because he's offering it to the owner of the store. And ultimate owner is Krishna. Owner of this whole universe is Krishna. Everything is created by him. Everything is owned by him. Everything is controlled by him. Everything is maintained by him. And if that is the case, there's no harm in whatever we are taking. A part of it should be offered to him. And that is the consciousness with which a devotee work. So he's working for, he's eating, but he's offering it to Krishna before eating. Krishna mercifully returns the same plate back to the devotee, and then devotee mix it with his foodstuff and eats the whole thing as prasad. So devotee is maintained. Devotee doesn't go hungry. None of the devotees sleep hungry because Lord has not provided them anything. And similarly, the sattvic person also eats, a rajasic person will also eat, and a tamasic will also eat. But their eating is different. Why? Because the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic eating will have some kind of reactions, good, bad, and ugly. Whereas the sattvic person, the devotee who has eaten, there are no reactions because he's eating it with the permission of the Lord. So I just want to pause here and just to make a just to understand if this aspect is clear. We can just type yes, no, or should we spend more time on explaining this aspect? Why it is, what is the difference in actions performed by those four people? One is a devotee, one is a sattvic person, a rajasic person, and tamasic person. We'll definitely elaborate on this aspect as well, but the principle needs to be also followed. The principle is that if you keep Krishna in the center and act, you are not getting any reactions. And the mall example is trying to highlight it, that aspect. So it will be helpful for me if you can confirm in the chat box, if you could follow what we spoke just now. You can type yes, no, that way we can understand. Yeah. it's yeah, it's we'll revisit it definitely from time and again. But I just wanted this to be clear because we'll take this discussion forward. Thank you, everyone. As I said, Prabhat referred to this as this is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. How to do it? If it is that simple, why is everyone not doing it? Many questions could be there. So Prabhat very clearly identifies that this requires guidance. And we have our own propensities that can stop us from doing it. Atma Sanman, Atma Nirbharta. Why should I offer it to anybody? Why should I offer it to anyone? Why should I consider anybody as my superior? There could be many difficulties we may have in implementing this simple instruction. So what we need guidance. In terms of guidance, there's a beautiful example that comes to mind in the Bhagavatam when Dhruva Maharaj was asked by his stepmother not to sit on the lap of his father. And she said very, in very harsh tone that if you want to sit on the lap of your father, you should have taken birth from my womb. So I'm the superior queen, and my child only has authority to sit on the lap of his father. Even though he's your father as well, you should not be sitting there. And he feels insulted. Dhruva Maharaj is Kshatriya. He's insulted. He's extremely angry. In that mood, his mother advises him to go and search Vishnu and ask him this question. He stepped out. He says, I'm going to jungle. I'm Vana. I'm go to Vana and meet Vishnu there, and I will ask him this question. Narad Muni meets. Narad Muni does not waste opportunity. He sees opportunity there. There's a boy. I want to go. I can go and preach to him. Why not? Immediately appears there. Narad Muni is asking question. You are a small boy. Even though elders have scolded you, said something, why you're taking it very seriously? You're a small 5-year-old boy. It's very normal for children to fight in the morning. By afternoon, they become friend again. So why you're taking it so seriously? Okay, but also on the other side, if you say no, no, even though you're a boy, but you have very advanced consciousness, then he says with your advanced consciousness, you should also understand that you should treat insult and praise equally. That's what devotees with that's what those with higher consciousness will do. For them, they will not get insulted because they will treat praise also. They will not get very happy when somebody praises you. They will not become unhappy when somebody insults you. They treat insult and praise equally. So if you think you are an advanced consciousness, then still you should not mind she's saying anything like this. So either way, you should not be leaving home for such a small incidents. So what is it? Why are you going? So Dhruva Maharaj pauses and think about it and then says, what you're saying is right. Actually, I'm also a child and I'm also, I think, consider, I'm also, I should have also not got angry because praise and insults really doesn't matter. It is best if one can treat them equally. But he's saying something very significant. He says, what you're saying probably is correct, but at my current level, at my current level where I am, where at my current level of my development, development of spiritual consciousness, I'm not able to tolerate this. What you're saying is right. I may want to go to that level at some point, but right now I'm here, and what you are expecting me is to be here. Right now I'm here. Now in this stage, I feel insult. I can't tolerate insult. I am Kshatriya. I have Kshatriya blood in my body. I cannot tolerate insult, and therefore I want to ask questions. So, so even though what you are saying is right, I cannot pretend to be at that level. So I am here. So I need guidance. So please guide me. And then Narad Muni changes his instruction and gives him instruction to go to Vrindavan and gives him Harinam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra, and explains him how to perform austerities and penance, and thereby he can satisfy Lord and he can see Lord. So had Narad Muni not been there, it would have been difficult. So Narad Muni could change the instruction depending on the limitation of his disciple. He's saying, what you're saying is right, but in my present condition, I'm not able to do what you're telling me to do. Maybe when I will advance at some stage, I will be able to do that. But right now, tell me something which will help me, overcome this lava of insult which is filled in my heart. I can't tolerate this. So Narad Muni guided him accordingly. So this expert guidance is required at every stage in devotional service. We may struggle with anything and everything. Those instructions may appear very simple. Follow four regulatory principles. We had wonderful class by Narottam Prabhuji. Everyone attended, more than 200 people attended, and all of them got convinced that day that four regulatory principles must be followed. But when we function in the world, which is filled with so many temptations, and we have our own past when we have done so many activities, colorful activities, that at times it becomes challenging for us to follow those four regulative principles also. Chant 16 good quality rounds every day. Read Bhagavad Gita every day. Read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. All great. But in our present condition, where I work for 10 hours, I travel for 2 hours, uh, probably this is not happening. What should I do? So every stage could be a turn and twist. Our path are not highways. And smooth highways without signal can drive fast more than 100 kilometer speed and reach the goal, ultimate goal, very quickly. That's not the case. uh, we are in Bhiwandi kind of a road where there is a challenge in every turn. Every second there could be a pothole, and every now and then there could be a difficulty that we may have to maneuver. So we need expert guidance. That's the reason why we need expert guidance. So Prabhupada writes that one should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instructions of Lord Krishna himself, under whom Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Now, we don't have that opportunity. We may read Bhagavad Gita and we may understand these instructions, but we also needed, had Prabhupada not written those purports, we would have made no sense out of Bhagavad Gita. Had Prabhupada, had our senior devotees not given those beautiful examples, we would, and the correlation between Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures with modern day examples, had they not done that, it would have been very difficult for us to comprehend what is written in Bhagavad Gita. Leave us alone, act according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. That would have become a distant dream. But because of all these efforts, because Krishna took effort, because Prabhupada took effort, because our senior devotees have taken so much effort, we are able to do make some sense out of it. So that is, expert guidance is required. And one should not underestimate the potency of that guidance, the devotee association, the devotee mentors association. And with their help only we can do little bit of devotional service. On our own, we will struggle all the way and may give up very, very prematurely also. So Prabhupada writes further that nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God. So it is how potent it is. It is potent enough to help you go back to Krishna, and end the cycle of repeated birth. It is that potent. And that is the assurance that Prabhupada gives. Now, this is in a simple way. So the person who took foodstuff from the mall, saying that he will offer it to Krishna, didn't slept hungry, because Krishna is that spiritual, that master who care more for the jivas, more for his dependents, more than they care for themselves. So Krishna care for us more than what we care for ourselves. So he care for our material thing needs, he care for our spiritual needs. And he accept us as a complete product with good, bad, and ugly qualities. And he is working very hard to give us opportunities to come back to him ultimately, and to purify ourselves and ultimately come back to him. And so for that he's engaged tirelessly, as Gajendra say in his prayer, Namo Lalaya, that you never get tired of helping me, O Lord. I keep making mess of my situations. I keep falling in one trouble after another. And you are, so I don't get tired of creating a mess, and you don't get tired of cleaning up that mess, helping me in that mess, in one way or the other. So you are a tireless trier. You are a tireless trier. You keep trying. So, and that's the beauty of our Lord. That's all merciful nature of our Lord. So gradually elevate one to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, so can give the ultimate benefit. It's not that those people have not eaten. So the person who has taken it for offering it to Krishna also has eaten. The person who paid money out of salary also has eaten. The one who has stolen money somewhere is also eating, and the one who got money by murdering somebody is also eating. But this eating is not the same. So there will be maintenance that will happen, and but we have to offer it. This offering principle has to be followed, and thereby we can remain free from reactions. To summarize, good bad work done for self gives good and bad reactions. Reactions cause bondage, leading to repeated birth and death in this material world. Therefore, one must work in Krishna consciousness for Krishna's satisfaction. And when Krishna becomes satisfied, Krishna becomes happy. Krishna is always maintaining us. Even he's maintaining the one who don't believe in Krishna's existence. So what to speak of us, who, if we offer it to Krishna, will he not become happy? And if he is happy, will he not maintain us? So he will maintain us. So one must work in Krishna consciousness for Krishna's satisfaction. Such work is free from any reaction, hence no bondage. And this is the great art of doing work. This is how we should work. Moving forward, um, सहयज्ञः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन अनेन प्रसविष्य ध्वमेश वोस् एषा वो स्त्वष्ट एषा वो स्त्व इष्ट कामधुक्. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth the generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. For living happily and achieving liberation. If you forget achieving liberation as the goal of life, you may end up making living happily to be the goal of life. And uh, that is the problem. Because then bhunte prakriti gunan karana guna sangasya sat asat yoni janmasu, this bondage of repeated birth and repeated death, we will never be able to break. If living happily is the only goal that we will live with. Doesn't mean for achieving liberation, you have to live in an unhappy state. you can live happily and achieve liberation. It's not or achieve liberation. So achieving liberation is not an unhappy path, not a path where you are suffering. You are living happily and achieving liberation. If you so it's a beneficial, it's more beneficial than just taking a small objective of living happily and remaining in the material world perpetually. So be and how can you live happily? Living happily involves sacrifice, performance of sacrifice. Sacrifice to whom? To demigods, prajapatis. Why? Because they will they will be they will be the providers of things that we need for us to live happily. So live happily is one of the goal, not the only goal. And that happens when we perform some yajna sacrifice for the satisfaction of the demigods. But this is not the ultimate goal. Ultimate goal is to achieve liberation, go back to Krishna. And that will happen if we offer everything to Krishna. Let's understand this position more clearly. The material creation by the Lord of creatures, Vishnu, of creators, is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. The material creation by the Lord is a chance offered to all to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. All living entities within the material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship to Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the root cause? Root cause because they have forgotten their relationship to Vishnu. What is my relationship with God? Who am I? And who is God? And do we have any relationship? Now, this forgetfulness has brought upon the miserable condition to all the living entities in this material world. Missing link is Krishna. Missing link is God and godliness. Missing link is recognition of his role that he play in our life, and that forgetfulness is the root cause of our difficult situation in this material world. Prabhupada write further, the Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relation as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedeshcha sarver aham eva vedyaha. The Lord says that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Him. In the Vedic hymns, it is said that Patim Patim Vishwasya Shwaram Vishwasya Atmeshwaram. Therefore, the Lord of the living entities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. So, to summarize, material creation is a chance offered to the souls to come back to Godhead. Why we are here? Because of our forgetfulness. Our forgetfulness comes from our desires and our hatred towards Krishna. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So that is how we end up coming here. We develop a desire to come here. And the moment we come here, we forget about our relationship with Lord. And because now we are trying to enjoy independently. A conditioned soul can learn how to perform sacrifices so that they get their necessities to live happily and can go back to Godhead after giving up their present body. This is the whole program of Lord for sending souls in the material world. In Kali Yuga, Sankirtan Yajna is recommended as per 11.5.32 in Srimad Bhagavatam. The next verse, Krishna is saying that देवान भावयता तेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परम परमवाप्स्यथ परमवाप्स्यथ. The demigods devan bhava yata tena te deva bhava yantu vaha. So there is a demigods, the demigods being pleased by the sacrifices will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. So this living happily, if that is a goal, you have to satisfy the devatas. There should be a reciprocation. There should be cooperation between men and demigods in order for prosperity to reign for all. So which means if you turn it around and see it in an inverse way, wherever this cooperation is broken, you will see that the things are not right. So the cooperation in men and demigod is expected. Let's see what it means. Prabhupada writes in the purport that demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. Who are demigods? Prabhupada speaking about the Krishna is actually speaking about devatas. And so when I speak about devatas, um, uh, and he's already said, he will say that Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, I'm the god of all the devatas. I existed when none of the devatas also existed. Later he will say that in the Bhagavad Gita also. So, but by simply by identifying himself from the devatas, he's putting himself in a separate category altogether. So he's not in the human, he's not part of the living entity category. There are living entities who are present, but he's saying, I'm not part of this. And he's now saying, I'm not even part of devatas also. Why? Because I'm transcendental to both the living entities and the devatas. Devatas are special personalities. Prabhupada writes that the demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yagyas by the human being. Some of the yagyas are meant to satisfy particular demigods, but even in so doing, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yagyas as the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita by that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yagyas. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the yagyapati is the chief purpose of all yagyas. When these yagyas are perfectly performed, naturally the demigods in charge of the different departments of supply are pleased, and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. By performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So what Prabhupada is giving, a step by step program for us to go back to Krishna by doing simple things, by doing simple things. So so the liberate to live happily and achieve liberation. That's the goal. And Prabhupada does not miss out on opportunity to explain how that can be achieved in a simple way. So in the previous section, we heard that Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. And so so he's the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So he's the Lord of all the Devatas also. So ultimate goal is, so he's the chief beneficiary of a yajna which is even offered to Indra, which was even offered to Indra, the god of all, the king of all demigods is Indra. And yajna which was offered to him was also ultimately for the satisfaction of Krishna. And so Yagyapati is Krishna. And so instead of indirectly offering to Krishna through the demigods. Prabhupada is saying in Krishna consciousness, we directly offer everything to Krishna because ultimately everything is for his satisfaction. Remember, we are not maintaining devatas, demigods, by our sacrifice. Their satisfaction depends on the sacrifice. Their maintenance, Prabhupada is not saying, the Lord is not saying that they are maintained by your sacrifices. Because they work under the supervision of Lord, they are maintained by Lord. Just like Lord is maintaining all the living entities, devatas are also superior living entities and they are maintained by God, by Krishna. So our offering or not offering does not affect their maintenance. It's not that they become weak, Indra becomes weak, but it 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 makes them happier. If one does not steal, um, if one is not a thief, um, you feel happy dealing with that person. But if you know that person is a thief, you will be very cautious. You'll be very watchful in your dealings with that person. So, the demigod's satisfaction and dissatisfaction can lead to the to the variation in the supply of necessities of life, like air, like rain, like fire. All of these are devatas are different. Devatas are in charge of all these, and there can be irregularity in the supply that can be caused by the satisfaction or dissatisfaction of each devatas in charge. Ultimately, we cannot satisfy all the devatas also because there are innumerable devatas. Prabhupada writes that there are innumerable devatas in charge of material affairs in different parts of the universe. And our knowledge of those is also limited. So it is best, Prabhupada says, it is best to offer everything to their boss. Who is their boss? Krishna is their boss. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyastesa characharam. So this whole material nature, the whole creation is functioning under the guidance, under the supervision, and under the control of Krishna. And hence, when we offer it to Krishna, everyone else is satisfied. Everyone in the chain actually gets their share of satisfaction. That's the process. This is the correct process. This is the correct process, and that can be understood if you have eaten the food step, the sanctified food step. When you eat prasad, your brain tissues become sanctified also. And in that state, you can understand the message of Godhead. You can better understand the message of the spiritual message, and then can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity for present day society. So Prabhupada writes this in 1971, and it's so true. Even after so many years, we are celebrating 60th year of establishing Krishna ISKCON. In the 1966, it was established. In next year, we'll have 1926. 2026, we'll be celebrating that day as that this whole year as the 60th year of establishing ISKCON. But so true. This Prabhupada has whatever Prabhupada wrote so 60 years back, 50, 55 years back, it's all true. Even today, the Krishna consciousness is the great necessity for the society. People are suffering. People are, I get 10 calls every week, and 8 of them are for mental issues, mental health issues. It could be overthinking, it could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be broken relationships, and so on and so forth. So everything is on the rise in the society today, and where nobody seems to be happy. So the living happily is also not being achieved. What to speak of attaining liberation? The first goal itself is broken. So second goal is not even in the people aware, not even in the awareness of the people. So that's the reason everyone is suffering, and that's why Krishna consciousness is the great necessity of the present day society. What we can do our part. We can connect with people. We can connect. we can connect these wandering souls to Krishna by giving them a book, by giving them some prasad, and by connecting them with these classes, by giving them guidance. So we accepting roles of a mentor, and guiding them through the process of Krishna consciousness, and thereby helping one soul at a time to come closer to Krishna. And that's how we can we can purify our own self. At the same time, we can help other souls also in the process. Some more information about our dependence on demigods. We should always know that God is very kind to us. Despite what we see on the left hand side is the water cycle. Water cycle, we'll talk about that in detail. And the topic is how Krishna is merciful in providing for all living entities, including other species, what they need. This is taken from the one of the article that was there. This was published in one of the article. So it said that we should always know that God is ever kind to us. Despite our gross disobedience to the laws of God's nature, the Lord is kind enough to look after our maintenance. Water is one of the most important items for our maintenance, because without water, we can neither produce food grains nor quench our thirst. Water is also required very liberally for many other purposes. Thus, the Lord has preserved water on the three-fourth of the globe and made it salty to preserve it. Salty, we make achar, we make pickles, and we add salt to it so that they can last for the entire year. So do we think Lord didn't knew this trick? Of course knew it. In fact, we have picked it up from Lord. So water stored in ocean, which are made salty for the purpose of preservation. Further, the salty water does not decompose, and that is the arrangement of the providence. The Lord has engaged the powerful sun to evaporate the water of planet like Earth and distill it into clear water in the clouds. Then, so the cloud basically people want to see magic. Look at a cloud. Cloud, they say, is made by water vapor, पानी की जो बाफ होती है, water vapor and dust. That's all. And what is the product? The Krishna has used these two ingredients, which are and created a cloud. Now, cloud, which can be compared to a floating, leak-proof floating water tank. A water tank which is leak-proof. An airplane goes through the cloud, and it does not leak. It does not cause the water to be leaked. And this water tank can be transported for hundreds and thousands of miles without any difficulty, without any cost. If we in the material world, if you have to move one item from here to there, I will get a quotation from different supporter and other service providers. They will give me a quotation, and it will be very costly for me to even move a 10 kg item from this place to another place. But these clouds are effortlessly being moved around the world. They get formed at one place. How they get formed itself is a mystery. You give dust and water vapor to anybody and ask them to form clouds, they will not do it in their lifetime. So cloud is a miracle. Is a miracle. Living, what we want to see the hand of God. Look at the clouds, and we'll see we can't make it something as as glorious as cloud, which is simply made by using water vapor and dust. Nobody can make it. Only Krishna can make it. And not only make it, he made it in a it's a leak-proof water tank. leak-proof floating water tank which can move 1,000 miles. Doesn't matter. And so that's a beauty. That's the beauty of the nature that is around us, and we fail to see that aspect, the aspect of the creator, that how beautiful it is, how scientific it is, how great it is. And by all our technology development also, we are unable to match, even go closer, anyway closer to that. Okay, that is formation of cloud and transportation of cloud, is that is not sufficient enough, it's not great enough. Then Krishna ensure that the water is stored, water is stock it on the peaks of the mountain, as we stock water in the overhead tanks for later distribution. Now, uh, the we store water on the peak of mountain in form of snow. So the part of the stock of that water is refrigerated into ice, so that it will not flood the earth for no good purpose. But when Krishna wants, he will create a flood. It's not that he doesn't know how to create flood, but for generally he will not want flood to happen. So what he will do, he will store some of that water in a he will refrigerate, turn it into ice and store it on the mountain peaks to be melted gradually. The ice melts gradually throughout the year, flows down through the great rivers, and glides down to the sea again for the preservation. Is that not great? Do you think anyone think this could be possible? This kind of a system process can be created by a blast? And how foolishly we keep writing in the exams generation after generation that this nature is created by blast. Big Bang theory, so to call it. The writer write further that therefore the laws of God's nature are neither blind nor accidental, as men with poor fund of knowledge conclude. Behind the laws of nature is the living brain of God, just as there is always a lawmaker behind all the laws of the state. It does not matter whether or not we see the lawmaker behind the common laws. We must admit that there is a lawmaker. Matter can never work automatically without a living hand, and therefore we must admit the existence of God, the supreme living being behind the laws of nature. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that the nature works under his superintendence. Nature is only a power, and behind power is a powerhouse and a brain. Just as behind electric power, there is an electrical powerhouse where everything is conducted by the brain of the resident engineer. Krishna says the same verse, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Charachara, 9th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 10th verse. The material nature works so nicely and not blindly because of the superintendence of the supreme powerful God. The Lord distributes his mercy in the form of rains on the scorched earth at times of dire necessity. He supplies rain when we are practically on the verge of death for want of water. God is merciful undoubtedly, but He bestows His mercy on us when we need it most. This is so because we forget God as soon as we obtain this mercy. We should therefore remember the mercy of God constantly if we want to avoid distress. We are eternally related with Him. Despite the state of forgetfulness already described above, Bhagavad Gita confirms that the laws of nature are stringent because they are conducted by the three different modes. Again, the reference to the modes, Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, Tamoguna. But one who surrenders unto the Lord overcomes the stringency of the nature very easily. So one who surrenders to the God is able to rise above the modes of material nature. Can we pay for the supplies we receive from nature? There was a study in the science magazine Nature issued 15th May 1997. Researchers from the University of Maryland presented the world with a bill to nature for 16 trillion to 54 trillion US dollar per annum for the natural resources and raw materials that humanity takes from nature: food, water, air, lumber, rocks, metal, jewel, oil, and so forth. Another American scientist, Edwin Kessler, has calculated that if we had to pay 5 cents per kilowatt hour, a relatively cheap price for the energy provided by the sun every day, over the state of Oklahoma, which covers an area of about 200,000 square kilometers, the cost would be around $60 billion per day. $60 billion per day. They are humongous numbers. Can we pay for supplies we receive from nature? Obviously, the answer is no. Um, Hence, but we need supplies uh, because without these supplies, we cannot survive. Our survival, our maintenance uh, exists depends on these supplies. The sun must rise. The rainwater must come. Uh, the the crop should get produced. Uh, we should have fruits. We should have grains. We must get all of these, and so these are, and the air must flow. There should be oxygen in the on the planet, but I can't pay for this oxygen. When a patient get admitted, the oxygen comes at a cost. When a patient is given oxygen, when his oxygen level drop in a hospital, they are given oxygen artificially, but there is a cost to it. From where hospital is getting that oxygen, they are absorbing it from the nature. They're just taking it from the nature and selling it to the patient and charging money for it. Have they paid to the God from whom they have taken that original oxygen, who has given that original oxygen? No. We are breathing every day, every night, 24 by 7, we are breathing, and we are absorbing oxygen. We are using oxygen that is supplied by God, and we are not paying for it. But the moment we go to a hospital and we have to be given oxygen, a bill starts. So we need supplies. We need supplies. Uh, we need a farmer may sow the seed, but the seed should be potent. The potency in the seed is Krishna. And that comes when Krishna wants, the crop will come. IVF, doctors may unite some chemicals, mix some chemicals, but the presence of soul comes with the sanction of Krishna. You may mix all the chemicals perfectly, but you have no process to inject soul into a womb. So for that, you have to depend on Krishna. So our dependence on Krishna is very evident, should not be denied. We should be honest. We should be conclusive with saying that yes, we depend on Krishna. We depend on nature. We depend, and worst is we want something and we have no capacity to pay physically. From where we will pay? We are issuing currency against the gold that is available in a country. And who manufacture gold? Gold is manufactured by Krishna. Gold is also provided by Krishna. We cannot manufacture gold out of thin air. So nothing. So we have complete dependency for our survival on Krishna, and but we have no capacity to pay. What can be done? We want something and we cannot pay for it. We are getting something. We want something. We are getting something, and we cannot pay for it. What an honest man will do? He will go and say thank you. He will go and say thank you. That in my dire need, you are supplying me with so much. Why will I not thank you? Why will I not bow my head in front of you? So we are forced to accept them for free, and hence the system of yajna was established by the Supreme Lord himself, through which demigods can be pleased and offered respect. This is Karma Kanda section of Bhagavad Gita. What are we doing? We've given look at two examples. One is a group of tribals, and one is a group of dacoits. A um, tribal are poor people living in remote villages, and if they live in jungle, they're living in remote places, and there is a water pipeline which goes from the nearby area. What can they do? They have two choices. They can make a hole in that water pipe and try and steal some water, or alternately they can go to the government and request them to supply water. And because they are honest citizens, government may agree to supply them with water. So if they follow the process, they can easily get the water facility. Whereas in the same area, nearby area, there lives a group band of dacoit. The dacoits are lawbreakers. So their natural tendency is not to approach government in a humble mood, and so that is not there. So they just know. I mean, by their default mode is to steal, and hence they will use in an illegal means to manipulate the system and enjoy the facility and not pay for it. So eventually they will get caught and they will get punished by the law. And that's what will happen if we accept everything from nature without offering our respect to the demigods, and ultimately respect to the Supreme Lord, who who has created this, who has provided this, and who has deputed those demigods to supervise it. So disrespecting demigod is ultimately disrespecting Supreme Lord Krishna. Demigods should also, on their part, should demigods become puffed up uh, when people start offering them with respect? No. The demigod should also accept this honor that people give on behalf of Supreme Lord. Indra sacrifice was stopped by Lord when he became proud. So Indra shouldn't believe that he's managing rain. He's not creating rain. He's in charge of rain. He's rain god, but he isn't manufacturing anything. Krishna is creating. The whole system is created by Krishna. Indra is managing it, and hence there's no need for Indra to get puffed up. And people should respect and offer respects to Indra as well as Krishna, who is the ultimate creator. But Indra, when he felt that he's not been sufficiently respected, and because of his yajna was stopped, he became angry, and he tried drowning the Gokul, Vrindavan Gokul, by thunderous rain. And Krishna taught him a lesson that I am the boss ultimately. So whenever offering is made to me, you get your share anyway. You will get your share anyway, and you shouldn't come in between. And that's the message. We shouldn't indirectly worship Krishna. We should directly worship Krishna. And therefore, demigod worship exists, but demigod worship is not recommended to devotees. So best policy is to offer everything for pleasure of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thereby, all demigods get satisfied. When root is watered, all parts of the tree gets nourished. This example you will find quoted many times at many places, that when you give water to the roots, there's no need for you to give water to the branches, to the leaves, to the fruit, to the trunk of the different parts of the tree, because the moment root is nourished, everyone gets nourished. Similarly, when we offer everything to Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna, everyone becomes happy, everyone becomes satisfied, and that's why In the Bhagavatam, the demigods are described as different parts of the body. So you don't have to supply food to hand independently. You just need to supply it to the stomach and hand gets nourished. Similarly, when Krishna becomes happy, everyone becomes happy. No need for us to give food to each one of them. However, today the tendency is to not give any respect to anyone. And though that's why we see the process of sacrifice has been stopped, and people are not aware and don't want to listen, because of their highly puffed up ego, that we are in charge of the nature, we are in control, we don't need anyone, we don't need anything, and so on and so forth. So, but that's how demigods from time to time teach different lessons to people, and people suffer but still fail to learn the lesson, and that's unfortunate for them. To summarize, we are forced to perform action, hence we should properly consider how to act. By dedicating the results of all our actions to Krishna, we can remain free from bondage. Hence, it is the great art of doing work. While Krishna has sent us here in the material world to allow us to fulfill our desires, he don't want us to stay here permanently. Bhunte prakriti jagunan karana guna sangasya sat asat yoni janmasu. He doesn't want us to wander in different species of life, birth after birth. Hence, he has arranged for all living entities to purify their consciousness following the process of sacrifice and ultimately come back to him. This is the whole program for all living entities. And we should align our actions to this program. We should follow the same program that is offered by Krishna. Uh, our plans should be in line with the plans made by Krishna. And that is possible when we study Bhagavad Gita. When we study Bhagavad Gita from devotees, take guidance from devotees, and follow the process of Krishna consciousness. In this simple way, we can purify our consciousness, purify our existence, live happily, and attain liberation at the end of our life. So we'll conclude. We'll wait for any question answer for today's session. Yes, Gokul Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, like today when you were telling in the Bhagavad Gita, in the third chapter, in the 10th verse, it tells like all the activities of the sacrifice should be done in order for Lord Vishnu. So when we are doing any activities, either in our sattvic nature or the tamasic or rajasic, or even when a devotee is performing an activity, but yet our intent also matters, right, Prabhu? So how do we even sacrifice our material activities to the Supreme Lord?
Yeah. So the question is how to sacrifice our material activities for Supreme Lord. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So basically, Raji, we can perform sadhana for the pleasure of Supreme Lord. We can offer food to the Supreme for the Supreme Lord. So we can so these are easy things to be done. Okay, like our sadhana should be dedicated. We should worship Lord Krishna. Our sadhana should be, we should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra as given by Krishna himself. We should offer respect, pay obeisances to Krishna, and we should offer food which is cooked in a very sattvic food, cooked with a consciousness of offering, intent of offering to Krishna, and then we should eat it as prasad. These are easy things to do. And the difficulties will come in terms of our work. Our work is where we may work as a, yesterday we were discussing that I may work as a salesman to sell car. How will I dedicate my work to Krishna? Difficult. I may work as an accountant in a bank. How will I dedicate my accounting knowledge to Krishna? Difficult. So these are the times when we have to work. Work hours are say from 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever those working time that we will have. We can have some reasonable understanding or There will be a foreground and a background. In the foreground, we will be selling cars. We will be doing accounting work. We will be doing mundane activities, which will help us earn our living for our subsistence. However, these are not. However, in the background, we should always remember the why we are doing it. We are doing it for the maintenance of our own self and our own families so that we can practice Krishna consciousness nicely. These are essential for me not to live happily, but to practice Krishna consciousness happily in a state of comfort, in a comfortable way. So in the background, we need to always continuously have that consciousness or remembrance of why we are doing what we are doing. So while doing those activities, it may be difficult for us to remember Krishna. But in the background of while doing those activities in the background, we can constantly remember why we are doing it for the satisfaction of Krishna. And that way, we can come to that point where we are able to purify our work. Another simple way, Prabhupada will explain Krishna will explain in different, separately in the Bhagavad Gita, that another way to purify our this lost time is by offering the fruit of our actions to Krishna. As a salesman in the car shop, as an accountant in this shop, as a worker in a factory, as a consultant in some consulting firm, we will earn Lakshmi. And by giving a part of that for the to the Krishna conscious activities, we are purifying our work. We are purifying our work, and that is how we are purifying our consciousness. Our work, when we share or share the outcome of our work for Krishna propagation of Krishna consciousness activities, we are actually purifying our work. Now, this work by in itself was not Krishna conscious work, but by sharing the result of that work for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, I'm purifying my activities. So we should not be engaged in activities which are completely contrary to the Krishna consciousness principles. That is given. We shouldn't become the head accountant of a slaughterhouse. That shouldn't be the case. But assuming you're earning your living by way of ethical and moral means, we can offer part of our earnings to Krishna and thereby purify our work. This is the process that is given for purification of activities. But apart from work, all other activities can also be purified. We can also work directly for Krishna, but that's a choice that we have to do some stage of our life where we can dedicate ourselves for the service of Krishna. But that stage, until that stage comes, we may have to be engaged in activities which are not directly connected with Krishna. And there, we can perform these activities. We can perform regular charity, and also we can perform strong sadhana every day, especially before the work, before we go to the work. If we perform strong sadhana, that will help us remember Krishna throughout the day, even while selling cars, even while doing accounting work, even while working in a factory. You will always continue to remember Krishna. So thereby you will not get affected by the ill effect of those
Janaga,
activities.
Jariaga, Janaga.
Okay, Bridget?
Yeah, Prabhu, I can understand. I can understand the thing. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Gokul Prabhuji.
Because sometimes, once a senior devotee told me in his channel, like when you're worshiping Krishna, your intent matters more than how you carry out your sadhana. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's true. Intent should be pure. Intent should be to love and serve God. And but at our practical level, we may be struggling to remember Krishna. We may be struggling to hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra as we chant. And as long as our intent is pure, intent is honest, sincere, serious, the sadhana will improve. That is how the improvement in sadhana will also come. So in connection with sadhana, that instruction is also true. But in connection with work, that if I'm working in the material world, how can I dedicate that work to Krishna? So this is what I spoke about. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Rohan Prabhu, you have a
Hare
question?
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for a wonderful lecture, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, Prabhuji, my question is that we came to material world because we developed a desire to enjoy, plus we developed an enviness towards Krishna. So there is another verse in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, where Krishna speaks, Yad gatva na nivartante tadhama parama mama. So, Prabhuji, how we can understand this that Krishna is saying once we reach the spiritual abode, we are not going to fall down. And the second thing is that because we developed envy towards Krishna, we fell down to this material world. So, how we can understand these two different opposing verses?
Yeah. So thank you for your question, Rohan. So so yet Gatvana Nivartante, that comes just a minute. Just a moment was. More relevant to that is the verse number 8.15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam, where Krishna says, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world. So this is probably more relevant. The 15th chapter, which you referred, where the Yadgatvan Nivartante comes, in fact, it is little vague what Krishna is speaking, because, for example, take the verse that Narupamasyeha, the fourth verse, basically, Tatah padam tat parimargatavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha. Tvameva chadyam purusham prapadya yata pravruti prasuti purani. What he's saying is, having gone to a place from where you don't have to come back, you will have to search for a Uttama Purusha, from whom this Prakriti has been prasuti, has been manifested. So, this is where having gone to a place from where you don't have to come back implies that you don't have to come back, but you may want to come back. Why? Uh, because you have not surrendered to that Uttama Purusha. While performing sadhana, if you why this place where which Krishna is describing here is Brahmajyoti. And after reaching Brahmajyoti, a yogi will also, yogi who has not surrendered, who has not practiced bhakti in his lifetime, but by his yogic mystic powers, he is able to reach that higher destination, Brahmajyoti destination, from where he doesn't have to return. After reaching there, Krishna says you will have to still surrender, find that Uttama Purusha and surrender to that Uttama Purusha. And that is a challenge. So if you don't want to do that, then you will want to come back to the material world. So this is one reference in the 15th chapter. Yad Gatvana Nivartante. So this is where, and Mam Upatya Punarjanma, where Krishna says they don't go. Now, in the 8th chapter, when Krishna gave the similar reference, Mamupetya Punarjanma Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam, that after attaining me, great souls never returns to this temporary world, which is Dukkhalaya and Ashashvatam. Now, why he's saying this here? Because having experienced the miseries in the material world, when you become devotee, Mamupetya means you have surrendered to Krishna in the lifetime. You have become devotee of Krishna. You have practiced Bhakti Yoga. And through the practice of Bhakti Yoga, when you purify your consciousness, you have already experienced so much pain in the material world, and having purified your consciousness, you're rising above that pain, and you're tolerating that pain, rising above the pain, and eventually you're attaining Krishna after performing bhakti yoga. Then, having experienced miseries in the material world, you have no more desire to go back to that material world. So that is why you will not go. Originally, when Ichhadvesha Samuthena verse come in 728, that's where that explains the original position. And when it happened, it's inconceivable when it might have had happened. When we exactly fell down from the material world, from the spiritual world to the material world, that is very difficult to pinpoint today. But it Krishna tells why it happened. And after having reached the spiritual world through the process of bhakti yoga, you will not want to come back. It's not that you cannot come back, but having performed loving devotional service while you're in the material world, you will want to do that in the spiritual world, because there you will get to perform direct devotional service to the same Lord Krishna, who is object of your love. So why will you want to leave him? And thereby you will not develop a desire to leave him and come back to this material world. Wherein the 15th chapter, the reference to the spiritual world is that of a yogi who through yogic process reach Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti is also outside the domain of material nature, where he can stay there. Having gone there, you don't have to come back. But you will want to come back because all your life you have not performed bhakti. So you have not. Why you have not performed bhakti? Because you don't want to surrender to anybody. You don't want to be because you don't want to surrender. Just ego and whatever it could be, but you don't want to surrender. Therefore, you don't want to become subordinate to somebody. And if the entire sadhana you have performed by not surrendering to anybody, and after reaching Brahmajyoti itself is a great achievement. And after reaching there, if there again the requirement is same to progress further, the requirement is same that you have to find that Uttama Purusha and surrender to him, then you may feel, might as well I go back to the material world. And thereby you may still come back to the material world after reaching Brahmajyoti if you have not performed bhakti in the material world. So therefore, the bhakti yoga becomes the Sreshta yoga, highest, best yoga, and the Sreshta yoga. Why? Because it will help you surrender while you're in the material world. And through that, when you purify your consciousness and go back to Krishna, you will not want to come back. That's the process. Okay?
Yes. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Jagdish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, sir. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you nicely explained the cosmic operation, especially the water cycle created by the Krishna. Now, in that context, how do we convince ourselves regarding the storms and disaster happening every year in some part of the nation of the world? And how do you react to that?
Correct. So the inverse side of it is when the sacrifices are not performed, there can be we see so much disorder also in the world that gets created at times. A disorder only implies the lack of following the principles. Now the rain may also fall on ocean and that get wasted, whereas there will be so many parts in the world where there will be no rains, and that's true. Just like everyone in the class does not get the same marks. Everyone in the class has opportunity to get 100 out of 100, but they all don't get 100 out of 100. Everyone gets according to what they have written. So everyone, each part of the world, each part of the people's sufferings will come on their way through various means. And if they are not performing yajna sacrifice, if they are They are not performing this yajna sacrifice even for the satisfaction of the demigod. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? The sufferings will come by various ways and various means, and the natural calamities can be one such means through which the sufferings will be coming to them. So there are three tap, that Adhidaivi, Adhibhautik, and Adhyatmik tap. And these are Adhidaivi kleshas. Adhidaivi kleshas, they will come when the demigods are unsatisfied. Unsatisfied because we are not performing our yajna. Our responsibility is to perform yajna. When that doesn't happen, the demigods will cause problems, cosmic problems to us, and as a result, we will suffer. If you happen to be an innocent, a good student in a hostel which is filled with bad students, okay, and the electricity goes. Now everyone is happy, they're enjoying, and you're suffering because you are the only one who want to study. So there will be people who will suffer, there will be good people who will suffer in the course where there is a gross punishment given to a majority of the souls. And that's true. But since the principle behind it is when the sacrifices are not performed and only the stealing mentality is prevalent in the society, that will lead to the imbalance in which demigods will create cosmic problems also. While the system exists, the system will malfunction also sometimes, and then you will have no rains in some parts and floods in another parts. Prabhupada writes very clearly in the verse, in the explanation to the verse, that when they are satisfied, everything is properly maintained. Everything, the rains are proper, sunlight is proper, winters are proper, and everything is proper. Everything, all the necessary facility is provided for you to live happily, and then think for liberation, work on your liberation. But when that is not happening, it's not going to happen. And the disturbance will always be there. The summers will become hotter. The rains will, when they will come, they will flood. When they will not come, they will create droughts. Those imbalances are simply out of anybody's control, anybody's comprehension. And Krishna gives this solution that you offer respects to the demigod. And if you don't want to do that, at least directly offer it to me. I will take care of those demigods and I can provide proper supplies to you. So this is the principle. Prajit.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Understood. Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Prajit. Hare Krishna. So, Vikas Prajit, are there any questions in the chat box we might have had overlooked?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Dandavat Pranam. No, Guruji. No question as such in the chat box, Guruji, up till now.
Okay, Prajit. I think we'll conclude today's session. It's already 1 o'clock. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Fascinating journey of Bhagavad Gita. We've been trying to read it for a few years, and every time I open this, something new pops up. And I'm hoping you're all relishing the study of Bhagavad Gita. Though it's a philosophy, there's so much to learn, so much to discuss. And as we covered these 3 verses, each of those verses had so much more that we could have cherished and discuss. But I hope all of you make use of these learnings, these learning sessions as we progress through the study of Bhagavad Gita, and develop this desire to learn more and more of this Bhagavad Gita and practice more and more of what is taught in Bhagavad Gita. That way we can come closer to Krishna, because these are all his instructions. Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. So this is Krishna Shiksha. And if you can do this, Prabhupada guarantees that just by doing this, you will go back to Krishna. So with this, we'll conclude today's session. Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Well explained. Very nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Sadhana Mataji has also raised hand.
Thank you for the
Uh,
lovely
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Yes,
Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा
Sadhana
प्रभु
Mataji
जी
has raised
दंडवत
hand
प्रणाम
actually.
uh,
So I don't know whether for question or she was there. Sadhana Mataji, Hare
हरे
Krishna. Can you?
कृष्ण प्रभु, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। हम हमारा सैलरी में से तो भगवान को मतलब कितना देना चाहिए?
सॉरी माता जी, क्या क्वेश्चन है?
अ, अभी सैलरी में से हम लोग को कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहिए ना भगवान को, तो कितना कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहिए हम लोग को, मतलब
So
ऐसा।
yes, Mataji. So we should give something. The principle is to give. Principle is to give, and why we give? Because it doesn't belong to us anyway. And with that principle, we can give. Uh, it will depend on our own needs and how much we can contribute. But the principle should be this. The principle behind sacrifice is that just like you understand that you get it because of the mercy from someone, and hence before utilizing it for your own self, you should keep aside a part or give back a part of it, offer it to the one who has given it to us. And how much to give will depend on our own inspiration, but the principle is to give. Principle should be we should know how to give, what to give, and how much to give, so that inspiration will come and we should give according to our inspiration. And we can give 10%, we can give 20%, we can give 50%. Gopal Krishna, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj used to give and 100% of his salaries to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada used to give some portion of it to him for his maintenance. Can we do that? We probably may not be able to do that, but we can give according to our own inspiration and our guidance of our mentors. We can consult them on one-to-one conversations, and we can ask them how much, and my current state, how much I should give, and accordingly we can perform that sacrifice as well. Okay.
ओके प्रभु, थैंक यू प्रभु, हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. We'll conclude today's session. Have a safe Krishna conscious week ahead. We'll see you all on next Sunday. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
thank you so much.
हरे
Dandavat
कृष्ण
Pranam.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी
हरे
दंडवत
कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम
Thank you so much.
प्रणाम।
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dhammat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful session, Prabhuji.
Thank you.